Hello everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you. Myself Sanat Kumar Swai, Assistant Professor at Vedang Institute of Technology. Hope you are all doing well, and I hope that you all had a safe Diwali. Okay. Welcome back to the organizational behavior classes. Okay, so in today's class, we'll be discussing about organizational change. Okay, in the previous class, also we have discussed about organizational change, the meaning and definition of organizational change. In this class, we'll be discussing about the nature. What is the exactly nature of organizational change, and what are the types of organizational change? And um, by understanding those nature and types, we'll also see how that is going to impact the organizational structure. Okay, so we'll be going through few slides, and we'll see what kind of types of organizational changes are. Okay, right. So, introduction to organizational change. So, what exactly is organizational change? We have also discussed in the previous class. That is a process. What is a change? Change a process. Yes. When we change, what what exactly happens? It's a process. The way we used to work and the way we used to work now after the change. So it's a kind of process. Okay. So what happens that in that entire process, what happens that how that organization, how any organization, not only one organization, any organization who is undergoing this organizational change, how they are going to adjust to various kinds of dynamics. And that dynamics can be internal dynamics or sorry. Okay. So that dynamics that can be an internal dynamics or that can be an external dynamics. Okay. So how we are going to adjust to those dynamics internally and externally. So that is known as the organizational change, right? Now, what is the importance of change? Why do we need to change? So this also we have already discussed in the previous class that as change is essential for growth. See, without change you cannot grow. You have to grow. A seeds become uh, a branch becomes a tree, and subsequently the tree develops into other branches, big branches, leaves, shoots, fruits. So a small seed, if it is not going under, it's not undergoing change, then how that is seed is going to become a tree? So you have to change. If you're not going to change, then there is the growth has been stopped. The growth stops here. Okay. So if you want change, if you want growth, sorry, then you have to have change. You have to accept those changes. And how you are going to do that? You have to adaptation. You have to adapt. Okay. Competitiveness is there in the market. You have to be competitive. How you are going to become competitive? By adapting to change. Okay. See, uh, the business environment, particularly in India, it is rapidly evolving, changing in a fast pace. So you, in order to cope up with that fast pace, you have to change. Okay. Now, for example, Infosys, okay, which evolved its business practices over time to compete globally while preserving core values. So what they have done that their organizational change, they have preserved their core values, whatever their core values are, and apart from preserving their core values, they have also competed. They have also started to compete globally, not undermining their core values, preserving their core values. They have started to compete with the global market. Right. Next, nature of organizational change. So, what is the nature of organizational change? See, some changes you see it comes automatically. You don't have anything to say, and some changes it is planned. I mean, you have a planning for those changes. You have full control over that changes, and in certain changes you don't have any control, right? So these are few organizational changes like planned versus unplanned. So some changes are planned. Okay. uh, which are planned? The strategic changes. You have applied certain strategy, and that is known as a planned strategy. And other are reactive. Reactive means unplanned. You just have a reaction to those changes. There is an immediate government policy which comes into play. Now what you're going to do? You don't have anything to say. That is totally unplanned. Demonetization, it came all of a sudden. You don't have anything to say, right? In 2016 there was demonetization, right? So what happened? It was totally unplanned. It was totally unplanned change. Yeah, maybe for the government that is a planned change, but for us it was a totally unplanned change, right? So what we have to do, we have to react to those changes. Okay, that's not a strategic change, that is an unplanned or reactive change, we can say. Okay, so that is one of the nature, and we have to adapt to those kind of changes also. It may be planned, it may be not be planned. Okay. Next is continuous versus discontinuous change. Now, what do you mean by continuous versus discontinuous change? Continuous change means it is an ongoing process. Whatever is happening, it is continuously changing. The organization is continuously changing, changing in a better way. We are adjusting ourselves. Yes or no? Every now and then, today, whatever we work in a certain way, tomorrow we work in a different way. Because there is a change. Yes or no? The employees goes up, the demands goes up, the demands comes down, the employees comes down. Yes or no? There is a hike in the resources, the prices goes up, the prices comes down. So these are all continuous. It is happening round the year, and we have to adjust to those changes. So that is a continuous change. And the second one is discontinuous change. Discontinuous change means sudden changes, sudden transformative change. Some of the other ways, discontinuous change or unplanned change are similar, because that's something unplanned and something which comes on suddenly. Okay. Well, unplanned is not sudden, we cannot say, but see, it is not planned by us. So that is why it is known as unplanned. But discontinuous change is all of a sudden. We don't know, and it comes all of a sudden. We have nothing to say, right? So these are the few nature of organizational change. For example, if we talk about some example, the Tata's Group continuous expansion and diversification in sector like steel, automobile, and IT. So what they have done, they have also created both planned change and also continuous change. Okay, they have also adopted the planned change. They have also adopted the continuous change in their organizational strategy, change strategy. Right. Now, the forces which are driving organizational change in India. Okay. What are the forces, the driving forces or driving factors, we can say? Okay. So there are a few factors, like, for example, internal factors. Okay. So, what are the internal factors which is going to drive the organizational change in India? Is that the leadership? Leadership is one of the most important, because, see, when there's a change in the leadership, then there is a change in the organizational change. There is an organizational change also. Next is organizational culture, the way an organization functions. Once the culture is changed, definitely there will be a major change. But the change patterns is different in any kind of organization. Technological advances. Now, what is the technological advances? Technology changes. There's a new technology which comes into play every now and then. So those are the driving forces. So those are like internal factors, we can say. Okay. And workforce skills, whatever workforce we have, whatever resources we have, like human resource, for example, and the skills they they, they have. Okay, so those are like our internal factors, and that's internal factors, they drive the organizational change. Some or the other way, we have certain, I mean, we can say, a stronghold, we can say, some or the other way, not in a more effective way, but yes, some or the other way we have certain role to play in this internal factors. But what about the external factors? So external factors, we don't have much role to play. For example, globalization. Okay, there's nothing which we can do. Regulatory shifts, market competition, socio-economic factors, these are some things, these are known as the external factors, where we can see that we have no role to play whatsoever. We cannot stop the world from becoming globalized. We cannot stop the regulatory shifts. We cannot create a demand or the market competition. Okay. So these are the external factors which also plays a driving force in the organizational change. Okay. So if you're looking at few examples, we can see that the rise of digital payment after the 2016 demonetization in India. You see, in the year 2016, there was a demonetization in India, and it was a major revolutionary act, we can say. It was a major revolution. Okay. So, and further after that, the digital India, which came into play, like digital payments. I mean, a lot of the rise of digital payment. Every now where you will find there's Google Pay and Phone Pay, Bharat Pay, whatsoever. Okay. So the digital payment, the rise of digital payment was after the demonetization process. So what happened that it accelerated the organizational change for banks and fintech. So what do you mean by fintech? Fintech is a technology which has been used by the banks, okay, and the financial sector. Okay, so they have to adopt. I mean, the banks they have to adopt the changes, organizational change. Okay, so a lot of changes came after the digital payment was. I mean, there's a major change in the digital payment sector. Okay, right. Next, types of organizational change. So, what are the types of organizational change? In the previously also we have discussed like structural change. Now, what do you understand by structural change? Structural change means change in hierarchy, the way an organization works. We are going to reverse those hierarchy, or we are going to change in that hierarchical process. Next, departmental roles. How the department plays an important role in the organizational change or the organizational structure. Okay. So, for example, Mahindra Group. Okay. So Mahindra Group restructured to focus on core industries like agriculture, finance, and technology. You know what exact? First of all, Mahindra. It is a major player in the automobile industry. Earlier, what Mahindra used to do, or what Mahindra used to produce, they used to produce tractors, Mahindra tractors. Okay, and now they have moved into various kinds of automobile. Okay, L- SUVs are being manufactured. Scorpio, XUV, and what more? Okay, there are a lot of car segments which are being uh, manufactured by the Mahindra Group. So they have also focused on agriculture industry. They have also focused in finance and technology, but they have also focused in the various kinds of automobile industry. So they have undergone a major organizational change, structural change, for to say, right? Next type of organizational change, technological change. Okay, so we have to adapt to various new technology so that the efficiency goes up, customer experience also meets the I mean, it's in a more better way. Okay, so in this we'll see example of State Bank of India. So what they have done, that there's a transition to online and mobile banking. Earlier there was no online banking, there was no mobile banking, there was no internet banking. So State Bank of India, they have also have a transition, technological transition, you can say technological change. Earlier it was manual, but right now you will see you have to visit the bank. In the previous uh, time, you have to visit the branches to undergo any kind of transaction. But right now, you can do it online. You can do it in a mobile banking. You can do it in a internet banking. Okay. So what they have done that to there are a lot of digital banks. So to compete with those digital banks, they have also undergone major transition. Right. Next, cultural change. Okay. What do you mean by cultural change? We have to adjust to the organizational culture. What exactly is the organizational culture? what is the values of the organizational culture, what is the behavioral norms of that organizational culture, where particular or actually that organization is going to is working, is I mean um, the organization where it is based at, and we have to understand those culture and values where the organization is actually working. Okay, so what happens is that we have to adapt to those values, we have to adapt to those cultures. Okay. For example, Wipro shift to a more collaborative and customer centric culture, which under new leadership to align with global standards. So what they have done, particularly in Wipro, they have also shifted to a more collaborative role. They have also shifted to a more customer centric role. Okay, under their new leadership to align with various global standards. Various global standard, when they are also aligning, I mean, they are also focusing on the customer centric changes. They are also collaborative. Then we have to the Wipro had to align with these global standards to undergo a major cultural change, right? Next is people centric change. What do you mean by people centric change? We have to understand our employees mindset, what the employee is thinking about, what the employee is um, uh, what are the skills of our employees, and how we can develop those skills so that our employees can perform in a much better way, and the productivity level can go up, right? So we are changing our organizational changes in a people centric way. Okay. So, for example, Infosys investment in upskilling employee in digital skills to remain competitive. So they have undergone a major transformation in upgrading the skills of their employees, who Infosys employees, to remain for the digital skills particularly, so that they can remain competitive. Right. Next, strategic change. What is strategic change? What kind of strategy we are going to adopt, what kind of uh, strategy we are going to implement, so that there's a transformation in the direction, or we can say the goal of our organization. What is the goal of our organization? What is the um, focus of our organization? What kind of transformation we are going to adopt? Okay, so for that, what strategy need to be adopted? So that is known as a strategic change. Okay. So for example, Reliance Industry have shifted from a oil and gas to digital and telecom, reshaping its identity. So earlier, Reliance Industry was basically an oil and gas industry. They were more focused, not more focused, they were focused on the oil and gas industry. Reliance Industry means oil and gas industry. And they have shifted from oil and gas industry to digital and telecom. So they have a major transformational change. So this is all about the strategic change, right? Next, challenges in implementing change in India. Okay, this also we have already discussed in the previous classes. That resistance to change. So what happens is that we have our preference to stability. Okay, and we hesitate to adopt new practices. When there is a new practice, we tend to hesitate that yes, maybe, because we have already we are already stable in the in the process. Now change the process means there is a kind of like new practice comes into play in the process. So sometimes it does happen that we are hesitant to adopt those new practices, because due to some unknown fear. Okay. Next is resource constraint. Resource constraint mean some or the other way we will see that the companies or the organization, we have limited budgets, we have limited resources. Okay, smaller companies we can say, or maybe public sector in, um, and also some startups we can say. So what happens is that there is a constraint, because the resource is very less. So what happens is that there is a constraint in the resource. So that also becomes a major challenge while we are adopting to change, or we are going to implement the change in the organization. Okay. So for example, resistance faced by the Indian Railway when introducing online ticketing system. All everybody knows IRCTC. IRCTC. So what happens in that IRCTC is that is a online platform. I mean, um, I mean, through IRCTC you can book your online tickets. So when this online ticketing system came into place, so there was a resistance by the Indian Railways employees. Okay, not only employees but also um, other people who, I mean, the people. I mean, from the outside. I mean, from the market, they faced a lot of resistance because they thought that might, because earlier what they used to do, they used to get the tickets from the stations itself. Now, when it went from the online ticketing system, when they implemented the online ticketing system, definitely that's a change because there's a new practice which is being adopted. So definitely there was resistance, but in the due course of time, that has been smooth line. So there is a smooth transition. A transition has been already occurred, and that has been implemented. Okay, right. So best practices for managing change. What are the best practices? How we are going to manage those changes in the best way possible? Okay. So what are those changes? The first one is communication. You have to communicate in a much open and transparent way. All the stakeholder, whoever are going to be affected in those changes, you have to keep all the stakeholders, and you have to have I mean, make an informed decisions that why exactly they want to, why they, whether there's a resistance, if there's a resistance, why there is a resistance, they are going to, why we are going to implement those changes, and how that is going to impact those stakeholders. So you have to keep everything open and transparent. So communication is one of the most important factor in managing those changes, right? Next is training and support. When there is a transitional phase, when there is a change in the when we are transitioning the change in the organization, so you have to train the employees, you have to train all the stakeholders, you have to provide the necessary skills which are being required to have a smooth transition. Okay. So, for example, in training initiative by Flipkart to prepare employee for its growth in e-commerce. So, once they enter Flipkart entered into the e-commerce sector, they uh, they undertook massive training initiatives to train their employee so that they will be able to uh, I mean get the required skills in the e-commerce sector, right? So with this, we have come to the end of the slide. Okay. So if we are going to summarize what we have learned today, we'll see that organizational change is crucial for survival and competitiveness. But definitely, see, as said by, uh, as there's a saying in the survival of the fittest, as you must be knowing, Charles Darwin, he was a biologist. Okay. So he said survival of the fittest. So in order to survive, who survives? The fittest. The person who is fit survives, and if you're not fit, you're gonna be diminished. Okay. So for any organization, change is important. It is very crucial for survival and competitiveness in this dynamic business scenario, right? Next, Indian companies must adapt to both internal and external forces of change. Okay, because you will see that there is also internal changes, there is also external changes, so you must be able to adapt to those changes. Then only you will be able to understand, also manage the also you have to manage the unique cultural dynamics. See, because India is a multi-diversity country, diverse country, okay, culturally. So to manage those unique dynamics, cultural dynamics also, it becomes one of the most challenging part. Okay. Right. So there's a quote which says that change is the end result of all true learning. Who said this? Leo Buscaglia. So as according to Leo Buscaglia, he said that change is the end result of true learning. is a motivational speaker. Okay, so all of at the end, it's about change. What I was yesterday, I may not be today. What I am today, I may not be tomorrow. So I'm the end product of all the learning. Okay, all the learning, whatever I have learned so far. Okay, so that is the end learning of, at the end is change, right? Okay, so thank you very much for your time. I hope you had a good time and you are able to grasp whatever uh, have, I mean, whatever you have learned today. Okay, so however, if you have any doubt, please feel free to uh, jot down your doubts on the comment section. Yeah, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.